This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Today I have Felicity in the studio with me, and she works with us as Real Parents as a coach, as an incredible youth facilitator. She's also an educator, currently studying towards her PhD, as you do. She is an expert in all things tamariki, including how do we support our kids when they're due to start school, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Thanks for joining us for being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology. So good to have you with us. Me.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for your lovely introduction. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm an expert on all things tamariki, but I would say that I have I've learned a lot with working with families and in this space, because transition it's an exciting time, that transition to school, but it's pretty scary for lots of families as well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty privileged role to be helping people navigate that.
I think you're incredibly humble. When I said we're at the beginning, we don't have Kate with us today, so I need to kind of explain that too. And so we is just normally me and Kate, but she is down with COVID.
Poor thing.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I think there's so many people down with COVID. I'm just expecting it to happen at any minute. But you are... The reason I say expert is because anybody that's studying towards a PhD and nearly through a PhD...
Yeah, end of the month, is the plan.
Yeah, that means that you're going to be Dr. Felicity Morton-Turner.
Yeah. Not sure how. I definitely won't be using that title, but yes, I hope that I will be.
I would.
Would you?
I definitely. Well, it eradicates the Mrs. Miss whatever nonsense.
What about if you're flying and they say, "Is there a doctor on the plane?"
Well, you say
not in anything that can really help save a life.
Do they need help with transitioning? Do you need some
advice?
School?
Do you need some advice around education? Then I'm your person in the sky. So no, that's probably why I wouldn't use that title. We digress.
But you're allowed to, and I do like the idea if you're late for a flight that they go, Dr. Felicity Morton-Turner.
Yeah, that would probably happen, that late bit.
Oh, I know, me too.
A scramble.
Yeah.
A last-minute scramble, so... Everything's a last-minute scramble.
It's not a good flight unless you've got your name called out, is it?
No. Just hope you're with an airline that actually waits, because I think some just take off, depending on who you're flying with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Been on both, had both of those situations occur for me. Anyway, we do digress. We are terrible. Tell me more about... I'm really interested in what you're studying.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've been studying is it's looking at an early literacy intervention. So it's from an American program called Sit Together and Read, and I created a New Zealand version of that program. And basically, in short, it really just encourages parents of 4-year-old children to sit down and enjoy picture books together. And looking at, how powerful picture books are in supporting our kids to learn those skills that are necessary for learning to read and write.
Yeah.
Yeah. But doing it in a really fun way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing, when it comes to, and I'll talk about this a bit more, but when it comes to, supporting our kids with their learning, our young children, or any children really, but especially our young kids, it's how can we make that fun and engaging? Because if we can't, we're not going to get very far.
Yes. I have made the mistake when my youngest daughter, because youngest children grow up by osmosis, if you don't know that already, because you're so busy and so tired with in my case, with my work and with my other 2 children, that, Lulu just grew up around that. So, she's always been the smallest pup at the bowl. And that's got its real benefits, but she was just about to start school. She's a January baby, so she was going to be starting in the new year. And then I realised that she didn't quite know her ABCs. She thought that Alamino was 1 letter.
Yeah.
And so I yeah, and she only ever said E, F, G, H, or J, K, L, M, N, O, and the reason I picked it up was she said to me, what word starts with L, M, N, O? And so I made the mistake that year of buying her toys for Christmas, not even toys, like learning toys for Christmas, that we all know are no fun, and we all know, I wasn't listening to myself in any shape or form. And basically all that happened was she hated Santa, and we had the least amount of fun with all those awful educational toys because I was determined to teach her.
Yeah.
And yeah, not right, eh?
Yeah, no, but it's really common and coming from a really good place. And I think often, because your child starts school and you want to give them the best start. Yeah. And this often happens, when they get closer to 5, it's suddenly like, we get this wee checklist, I suppose, in our head of like, can they count to whatever we think might be important at that time? And it often is skills-based, can they count to 20? Do they know their letter names? Do they know how to write the letters? Do they know how to write their name? And if they haven't, we suddenly feel like we've got to drill that in, and it's probably the worst thing that we can do. Like I said, from a good place, but not really helpful.
Beautiful.
You're listening to Being Real Parents with Kate and Anna on Plains FM 96.9.
So that's really good. So you talked about some of the things that we might decide are important for our kids before they start school. But how do we actually know that our kids are ready for school?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I think when we talk about our kids being ready for something, like we don't really know that they're ever ready for something until they do it, do we? I mean, really, that transition from preschool to primary school is that pathway through. So I don't think there's a fixed way of what it looks like. And I think we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves and our kids for this idea of what school looks like or where they need to be. But in actual fact, I think we kind of need to let go of some of that and just be with our kids as they transition and realise that the transition takes time and they will adapt, and trust the process. Trust that your children are capable of this and that the teachers will support them.
Yeah, it's a really good point, isn't it? So you were a new entrance teacher for a long time. Because, I'm always going to come at this from the perspective of a parent. Would there be certain things that you would love for a child to have available to them when they started?
Definitely. I think, if we move, there's definitely skills that can help.
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of that stuff around self-help skills really helps children as they transition. So that's what we can do at home, is really build the independence, even things like just being able to put their things away, open their lunchbox. It's the little things, but that really helps the child when they transition into that school environment.
Yeah, that's true, eh? And even things like they can manage their own clothing. Yeah, that's a biggie.
Yeah. And again, they don't have to be able to do this, but it can be really helpful if they can, look after themselves with those sort of basic things.
Yeah.
Obviously, toileting's a big one. It's surprising how many children do still require some help with toileting when they start school. And sometimes, normally it's just that we haven't given them enough chance to practice.
I know, because they're so little. 5 is so little.
It is. It is really little.
I have that they are still babies at 5.
Yeah. And they are.
Yeah.
But they also are really competent of doing these things. And they will get support. I mean, there is support available, but a lot of the stuff, if we give our kids time to practice these skills, they do a really good job on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that makes me feel better. What about what else can I be doing to support my kids in order that they enjoy and have a good time at school?
Definitely. I think really work with your preschool around that as well. So if your child's currently going to preschool, make sure you involve them in the transition. Yeah. That is one of the really key points, is that remember this transition, you're not doing this alone. You're not transitioning your child to school alone. You're working with the preschool and the school and together making this, successful for the child.
And preschools are really good at working with the school, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they know, what's most helpful for that kid as well.
Absolutely.
And sometimes sorry.
No, I was just going to say you're absolutely right. And I mean, sometimes, I think sometimes we look at what does the child, what do they need to have mastered, or what do they need to have, be good at to go to school. But actually, we can preschools are really good at acknowledging the things that they already are doing really well that's going to support them in that transition.
Yeah.
I mean, preschools do an amazing job around, supporting your child with their social skills and emotional regulation and all those resiliency and building those skills that are really important in the classroom.
Yeah, and also social skills too, helping with friendships, sharing, turn-taking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, I mean, even having the regular mat times at preschools, really important for them being able to sit down and listen to a story and listen to the other people's sort of, I guess, their turn to talk.
Yeah.
So it's those basic things. The basic things really do make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Anything else? What else?
Definitely, if your child, incorporate learning into your routine really, really helps. When I said about we don't want to see a set of skills that children need to master, but we do definitely want to make...
We don't need to go and buy phonics cards.
No, we don't. We don't need to go and we don't need to go and teach baby to read at a year old or some of those commercial sort of products. But definitely incorporating learning into everything we do. Children love to learn. We just have to make it really fun and we have to make it meaningful for their lives.
Yeah.
So at home, that might look... at home, just talk.
Yeah.
Talk. Give you like you're giving your child a running commentary of what you're doing. I mean, oral language is just so powerful.
Yeah.
Other things. There's just so much. Just involving using sort of teaching maths and literacy concepts in everyday life. So that might be when you're cooking, you could be counting how many potatoes you're putting in the pot.
Yeah.
You could be
counting the pegs as you put them onto the washing line, or talking about the shapes of the leaf, or
absolutely
the colours of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and the more that you do that stuff, the more they will pick up on that as well, and they'll just start to looking at and they just. Yeah, I mean, I was with my own son the other day and I was just getting some money out of the ATM machine and he said, "Mummy, that's an A." So they start to look for letters and colours and shapes and they just start to see them in their everyday worlds.
Yeah.
Games are a great way, especially in the car, driving and it's playing I Spy, and it could be I spy something that is red.
Yeah.
And they have to guess something that's red. And counting, and make that about what they're interested in. So it could be counting trucks or...
And that's quite different, isn't it, to what we want to do as parents, which is what colour's that? What animal's that? What shape is that? So us describing that for them is quite different to them feeling tested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And often we're not even we're not going to ask them what colour it is. We're just commenting and saying, that's blue. And then they will start to use that language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of role modelling, I guess, using learning in everyday life.
Yeah, nice.
And using learning, in really meaningful ways. So it could be, when you're sitting down and about to write your shopping list, just getting out a piece of paper and a pen and letting them write a shopping list, and which may look like some scribbles and some mark making, but it's actually we use writing in meaningful ways, and just showing that, and keeping it really fun.
Yeah,
I think sometimes as we've got really busy, we we often just don't have the time, or maybe don't see the benefit in some of those things that we're like, oh yeah, we used to do that. Or we could easily do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or perhaps it is that what we do is we've separated out raising your children into kind of different categories, hasn't it? That's education, all that happens at preschool.
Yeah.
But actually it happens in every environment.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the more that we can kind of, be doing what the similar things at preschool and at home, that's just going to be so great and beneficial for the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, reading's another big one, and I can't believe I haven't touched on reading yet.
I'm surprised that wasn't first on the list.
But read everything, read every single day. And just make it a part of your daily routine. So often, people talk about reading books before bed. Just follow your child's interests with their reading.
Yeah.
If they want to read the same book over and over again, go with that if you possibly can, even if it drives you crazy.
And that doesn't mean that you can't say, introduce a new book and have the old book available.
Absolutely not.
It's just about if they love it, then go with that love. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And even change what you do with the book. I mean, make it fun. Could you do some silly voices? Could you ask them to read it? And I don't mean read the words. I mean just talk about the pictures and make up the story.
Yeah.
Talk about the characters. And even, it's a great one to be like, having some actually quite sophisticated conversations like, why do you think the character did this?
Yeah.
Our little kids are really good at unpacking stories.
Yeah.
We've just got to give them the chance.
My favourite is talking about feelings that are apparent inside of the pictures as well. So why do you think he's feeling sad like that? How do we, and what would you do to make him feel okay again? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
I kind of miss that, actually. Those are really good tips. It's not, it's the simplicity of it, isn't it? It's just the continuing to talk to them, continuing to read to them, and singing. That's the other thing I was going to say.
Yes, I was just thinking about that too.
Yeah.
And so much of this people will already be doing, but it's just, could we do a little bit more of it if we know the benefit of it? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
The singing's great.
Yeah.
And nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're also beautifully connecting to culture too, I think, as well. So all of this learning, and, it could include your different language inside of it. Or
absolutely.
It could include, stories could be pūrākau about your own whānau or whakapapa and all of, which is kind of like, supports their identity and pride in their culture too. Yeah.
Yep.
There's lots, eh?
There is. There's so much. There's so much. And I think it is the little things. Well, the little things are the big things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it is. And I think sometimes the barrier is time. And it's just actually, making that time and building it as part of your routine.
Yeah.
And the good thing is if you start doing some of these things, and even just one or two things, like starting to sing. I mean, I started counting trucks with my son when we drive to preschool. And I did that because he refused to get in the car seat. So I said, we got to get in the car seat so we can start counting the trucks. And now he reminds me, we need to get to 20 trucks, Mum. So if you just make some of the, be quite intentional about building this in your routine, your child will really quickly remind you, no, I'm not going to bed now before I've had my 5 stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also means that it's not boring because when there's a part of me, you will slap me for this, but that thinks about kind of like teaching our kids is boring. I know that it's not.
Yeah.
I know that it's not, but those sorts of interactions make it more fun, make it more meaningful, relationship focused.
And it makes me sad to hear that, but I think you're right. There is this idea that learning is boring, and I think it comes from that, like, we need to do a quick skill and drill. We need to do a quick bit of study time because it's not. Learning is fun. It's everywhere, and you'll see the excitement the child gets when they can, when they learn a new concept or when they. We were driving the other day, and my son's 2.5, and he's just like, it's just their little brains are amazing. And we were driving, and he saw the giveaway sign. He said, "Mum, there's a triangle." Like actually seeing this stuff in our world. Yeah, it's exciting.
My mum was in hospital for a long time with my little one, and her first word, her first understanding of the word was the word exit, because we'd spent so much time in hospitals where we were searching for the exit or ward number or something like that. And I didn't even think that was learning for her because I was so stressed and stretched at the time. But that was extraordinary that she was still looking for the learning because it's just magic time for them.
And they are. They're just amazing. Their little brains, they're primed to learn. Yeah. And I think if we keep it fun, if we just do little bursts, if we say, we're going to turn the TV off now and practice your letters,
no.
Yeah, no. But if we're outside and they've got and we've got some chalk, and you say, let's write your name really big, or you just start writing a letter, and they say, what is that? Yeah, it's like all those sort of incidental, in the moment, spontaneous learning opportunities.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so good at this, actually. What happens if I'm worried about my kid? If I'm worried that they're not up to the mark, I'm worried that there's something, they have a learning difference.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I reckon that the best thing you could do is, the first port of call for me would be talk to the preschool. Share your concerns. There's really good supports in place in both preschools and primary schools to support that transition and to meet individual children's needs.
And they're good because they see lots of children.
Yeah.
And so they'll see that range and be way more aware than we are knowing one child.
Yeah, and sometimes I think we do have unrealistic expectations of what our children, of where they are meant to be, and also what school's like. I mean, I would suggest, after you've talked to the preschool, the next thing to do is actually go and visit the school.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're really scared of the unknown.
Yeah.
I mean, what does the new entrant class look like? Because I guarantee it's probably not like when you were there yourself. You won't see children. I mean, often I get the comment, wow, that's really similar to preschool.
Yeah.
There is lots of play.
Yeah.
You're not going to see children sitting at desks for hours.
Yeah.
So, it's just learning about, and being really confident in what our kids can manage this. Because sometimes I think we think, oh, they can't sit down, or they can't, they're calling out all the time. But they'll be different in a school environment. And that's really typical behaviour of a 4-year-old. Yes. They're kids.
Children.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is too is that we, with all of the teachers that I work with as a part of my work with Sparklers and our manaho and, all of the conferences that I've been to, is that teachers are absolute experts in this field. Like, don't underestimate that they don't have your best, your child's best interests at heart. They know how to work with children. They know how to support their learning. They know, educational techniques and strategies and the theory behind it. And honestly, they will work their magic.
I could not agree more, and I think we've got to have that trust in our preschool teachers and our primary school teachers that they are doing an incredible job. Yeah,
and that's also a key relationship, isn't it, for us as parents to have a relationship with our kids' teacher, and that because we're both working towards the same goal.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that teachers are incredible at just at individualising these transitions and staying so focused on what the child's needs.
Yeah.
And they're going to be 100% committed to making this successful for your child. Totally. So sometimes it's just taking a deep breath, realising that we are nervous about this, and that's really normal, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And we're not alone.
No, we're not alone. Okay, so we'd like some top 3 tips, would we?
We always love a top 3 tip.
Okay, well, number 1, support your child's learning in everyday activities. Look for those opportunities to read and talk and discuss things and count and name colours, and just remember to keep it fun and in a really meaningful way. Number 2, be confident and positive about their transition to school. It's an exciting time.
And that they can do it.
Yeah, they can do it. Totally. And you can all manage it. Yeah. And you've got the support of the school and the preschool teachers, I guess, which leads me into tip number 3, which is approach the transition as a team. Value what the school has to say and what the expertise of the preschool, but also value your own knowledge. You know your child the best. And as a team all working to support, that will be the best outcome for the child.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for joining us again this week. For anything that we've referred to, head to the Real Parents website, or if you want to listen to previous episodes, head to Plains FM and search Being Real Parents. Know too that if you've got any concerns or you want to work with us, you can certainly do that. You can work directly with Felicity as a coach or myself. Just again, contact us through our website. Have a great week.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing. Bye!